Hey guys, welcome back to 𝗘𝗩𝗘𝗥𝗬𝗧𝗏 Copenhagen, the channel for everything Copenhagen. Today I've taken you to NYBODER, which is a neighborhood in Copenhagen famous for these iconic yellow row houses. The name NYBODER directly translates to new stalls, as in like market stalls, but a closer translation would probably be something like new barracks, because these were actually built as houses for the Danish Navy all the way back in the 1600s. Nowadays, it's mostly known as a tourist selfie hotspot, but today I'm going to take you on a walk with me around the neighborhood, and you know me, I'm going to point out all the little known things that you can look out for. Also, I'm going to show you a rare look inside one of the houses, so let's go check it out. NYBODER was built in the 1630s for the rapidly expanding Danish Navy. This was another ambitious project of King Christian IV. You can hear a little bit more about him in my Round Tower video, which was another one of his iconic projects. So all these new sailors needed a place nearby the naval base to live with their families, and King Christian recognized that he'd get much more dedicated, loyal sailors if he provided nice, stable housing close to the base. And so that's how the buildings came about. Most of the original buildings from that period have been torn down over time, however, and the buildings you see today largely date from the 1750s. The homes are all rented, not owned, and all the way up to 2006, they were exclusively available to Danish naval workers. Since then, rules have changed and applications were opened up to other branches of the Danish military, like Army and Air Force personnel. Also, unlike in the olden days, there are no more lifelong residency contracts, so residents are actually only allowed to live here between 2 to 4 years and then they must move on. So it's seen as a real privilege to live here. The neighborhood is still predominantly filled up with Navy personnel, and you can really get a sense of that when you start looking at all the little details. Take these dog figurines, for example. Something that's easy to walk on by, but actually they signify something. If the dogs are facing outwards, it means that the sailor is out to sea and not at home at the moment. The dogs are looking out for his or her return. If they are facing inwards, however, that means the sailor is at home. Then there's just this delightful orangey yellow color. You can see why so many people come here for that quintessential Copenhagen picture. And it even looks like there's kind of glitter in the paint. This kind of yellow is actually referred to as NYBODER yellow in Danish, but actually the houses were originally painted in red and white, the colors of the Danish Navy. This neighborhood and the NYBODER houses are so unique in the sense that houses built for ordinary people don't usually last for centuries. So this is a great way to see what normal working class life would have looked like in Copenhagen in the 1700s, particularly for maritime folk. There's just one more thing I want to point out before we go into one of the houses. Well, two things actually. The first is here on 𝗘𝗩𝗘𝗥𝗬𝗧𝗏. You can see yet another example of a cannonball wedged into the wall back from when the English attacked Copenhagen in 1807. I'll go into that in my Copenhagen's Forgotten History video if you'd like to see some more examples that you can look out for. The second is simply the street names themselves. The street signs are beautifully hand-painted right onto the buildings, and they all have the cutest names, mostly after animals. There's Dolphin Street, Tiger Street, Crocodile Street, where the cannonball just was. Now let's go see what the houses actually look like inside. I'm taking you to Nyboders Mindestuer, which is the official NYBODER museum. Not only that, it's actually the oldest building in the whole neighborhood, dating from 1635, and the only remaining example of how the buildings would have looked during Christian IV's time. The building has been lovingly preserved to show what life would have looked like for the residents at that time, and we're gonna go inside. The museum is entirely run by volunteers and receives no official financial assistance, so please consider supporting them if you're able to. Either by visiting, a ticket is only 20 krona per person, or you can become an annual donor, which costs around 100 krona for an individual or 150 for a pair. It's a really good cause supporting a place that preserves such important Danish maritime history for everybody to enjoy. I'll include a link down in the episode description with more info. thanks so much for watching today. I hope you learned a little bit more about this vibrant, historic Copenhagen neighborhood. If you like seeing and learning a bit more about Copenhagen, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification so you get notified whenever a new video goes up. See you next week.